was another day of trading punches between the defense and prosecution on the massive securities fraud case involving ex-state rep Pete Beck.
Yeah, it's a story that Local 12 first broke for you 2 years ago, and only Local 12's Rich Jaffe has been following it on a daily basis. He joins us now from the newsroom with a look at which side made points today. Rich?
Brad, this is a fascinating case to watch because just when you think that one side has scored some significant points with the judge, the other side gets up and blows them out of the water. That's exactly what happened this morning as the lead investigator for the Division of Securities continued his testimony. But the day ended with a prosecution witness clearly doing some damage to the story Pete Beck's side is trying to get the judge to believe. State investigator Harvey McCleskey started the morning off under cross-examination by Beck's lead attorney, Ralph Conan. Conan's trying to convince Judge John Andrew West that investigators were soft on some of the witnesses and that damning emails produced by Pete Beck's former CPA firm were, and I quote here, sloppy, incomplete, and not controlled, end quote. But McCleskey seldom flinched under his questioning, and shortly after 11:30 this morning, a new witness took the stand. You see him here, Mark Woods. He was one of the founding partners of a company called Christopher Technologies. It's a tech startup company that quickly began spending more money than it brought in. Pete Beck allegedly helped lure investors into dumping millions into CTech. The defense argument is that Beck wasn't really the chief financial officer of the company. Mark Woods disagrees.
Peter Beck was the chief financial officer for the company. And from my perspective, he had responsibility for the financial aspects of the company as CFO reporting to the CEO, but he was responsible for managing Charlene, managing all of the financial aspects of it. So accounts receivables, accounts payables, tracking all the finances, making sure people got paid, and bringing in money to the company also.
When testimony resumes tomorrow, Mark Woods will again be on the stand, still under questioning by the Attorney General's office. Then at some point, Beck's attorneys will get their turn with him, and it will be interesting. In a nutshell, though, this guy, one of the founders of the eventually bogus company, said Pete Beck was the CFO. He brought in investors. He was there from the start. He had a fancy corner office. He was on the bank accounts, and when they needed money, Beck was the guy people went to. In a few weeks, we will see what the judge thinks about all that. In the newsroom, Rich Jaffe, Local 12 News. Brad?
If you talk about bogus companies, is there any evidence that you heard today that CTech ever got off the ground as a real company?
Actually, we did hear something about that. CTech had a project where they were hoping to sell bracelets that people would wear, say on university campuses, places like that, that would help track them in the case of an emergency. Well, they did sell one contract briefly to a small university in central Ohio. They sold it to them the end of 2008, and CTech was unable to service that contract before the end of 2009. So less than a year, they were out of business and they were deeply underwater.
All right, Rich, thanks very much. After Woods gets off the stand, we're expecting to see attorneys for a prominent law firm, Wood and Lamping, on the stand. They drew up many of the CTech documents in question, so we will have more drama.